Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we got a great show for you with my co-host, David Null, Hawkeye Two Feathers, and my dog howling in the background.
Oh, we welcome you as always with the great and energy from the universe, from our great chief in heaven. And I always pray that each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. Tonight we got a good story, and we also got cards. So y'all be thinking on it and project what you think the cards should read so I can pick the cards tonight. So all right, Robert, back to you.
Oh, yeah, we got a good show for you tonight. Sorry, everybody. Last week was a bummer. I had to work extra, and it was a late night, and so I didn't even have the time. I thought maybe I'll get home, but in the end, I didn't have time enough during the day to post a sorry, won't be here, but just apologizing for that. Hey, we're back again this week, and we're gonna make it up to you.
And can I bring up something first off too?
Yeah, go ahead.
How many folks are here? Anybody?
Oh, there's 8 people, at least 8 people. It says.
Okay, well, I don't know if you knew, Robert, but let's see, Saturday, Elderberry was having some real issues, and Jeannie took him to the emergency room, and they found out that he was having heart attacks.
Oh, no.
And went in on Monday. They did testing on Sunday, and on Monday, they put him in and did a heart catheterization and put 2 stents in, and told him he needed to be careful with his aorta. And so he may be in the chat tonight, but
yes, he is.
Send some prayers towards Elderberry. He's like, Dave, you taught me so much about heart attacks. Because
he is in the.
And I'm like, okay, then, take your aspirin and, and calm down and take a deep breath. But so if you see Elderberry, whether you see him or not, send a prayer. So he is healing better. The circulation is going back to his legs, and they put 2 stents in. So I'm jealous. I only got 1.
Yeah,
but anyway, I wanted to put that out there. And I might remind everybody later on as folks come in, but anyway, okie dokie, let's head on out there, Robert.
Okay, yeah, Elderberry is in the chat tonight, and he says I'm alive. So there you go. Everybody send him some good healing. That's what we're all here for, is to support each other. And we got Chloe's in the house tonight, and Nina the Mystic, which is now Beyond Truth. Go over there and catch us on our lives or recorded, one or the other. Scotty Boy's in the house. I know you all missed me a lot. Love y'all. Witchy Moon, haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for being here tonight. John Price AutoWorks. Thank you, John Price, for being here. He says Tabasco sauce. I don't know. Get me some Tabasco sauce. I don't know what that means, but anyway, thank you all for joining us tonight. It's such an honor to have each and every one of you with us. Because, hey, we wouldn't have much of a show if you didn't join us. Thank you, Chloe. She says, I love you too. Witchy Moon says she's got 3 rebel stents. She says we should have a stent club.
Yeah, well, we are. We all got to carry our cards with us, our stent cards. Yeah. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Okay, so tonight we're back to this book. This should be the last week for this book, because I got a new book coming right up. And this one is even bigger and thicker, and you can't probably see it, but it's old. And it's big and thick. And it's old. from the 1800s called Conquering Wilderness, Heroes and Heroines and Pioneer Life Adventure. So gonna have some good stories out of that one. But tonight we're still on the Journal of a Mountaineer from Hamilton. And so here we go. I'm going to tell you all about what we're going to talk about tonight. It's we're going to thrill it up with the war, the fighting. Oh boy, it's really exciting. So
blood, gore, and guts and veins in my teeth. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. How we're going to go about. We're going to talk about what was really going on. I mean, what is a war between two Indian tribes? That's what's going to be. So when you've heard men talk about the battle, like it's a clean thing. It's a picture you can hang on the wall. Heroes on horseback, smoking curly and polite, and victory standing. Still long enough to be admired. Just like they do in the movies. Of course, it's the wind and the dust screaming, and the horses lathered with fear, and riders half blinded from sweat, and the man's whole life balanced on whether his gun is loaded. And when the world suddenly rushes at him, we're near the Gros Ventres village where, when it started turning, and you could feel it in the air. Not just tension that's heavy, sour, certainly that somebody was going to push too far. The Bloods and the Blackfeet, two names that don't sit quiet in the mouth when they gathered. They came like a storm that doesn't ask permission. And remember, keep thinking, keep the men together, because scattered men die first. Old Wolf knew it. We've talked about him plenty. And he always did. He had the rare thing, calm in the middle of chaos. That'll save your life. Like he could see the whole fight from above, like he could hear the future whispering. And then those noises, shots, yells, the thunder of hooves, and we're moving, riding hard, cutting across the ground to get position. And that's the trick of it. You see it, it isn't always who has more men. It's who has the better moment. We caught them close enough that a rifle speaks with authority. Remember, they're shooting Hawken rifles, and they crack, and you gotta be close, because you sure can't shoot somebody from far away. When we showed ourselves in the flank, the enemy wavered and saw their horses first, and then they saw their eyes. Remember that? Who was that president that said? Andrew Jackson. Hold your shots, boys, until you see the whites of their eyes.
That was in the Battle of 1812.
There you go. The Battle
of New Orleans.
And that's kind of the thing, because, those guns couldn't shoot very far. You had some pretty close-up battle, that way. Okay. And, of course, then once you start seeing the shooting, you got the panic, that sound. It isn't always screaming. It's sometimes a sudden silence in the man's face when he realizes he misjudged you. They tried to answer or charge out, tried to hold and tried to wheel and strike back. Some of them brave enough. Bravey doesn't reload a gun. And remember, they don't just, and shoot another round. They have to pack the gun, do all that stuff to it before they can fire again. And in the meantime, it's just a club.
And from all of those flintlock type guns that they had, they produced an enormous amount of smoke. And they don't talk about the smoke, but in the several places where I've been down here in the South, where there's cannon fire and reenactments and stuff, in 5 minutes time, there is so much smoke, it's hard to see. So, you waited till everybody shot their first volley, there's all this smoke, and then a good Indian would sneak up on you in the smoke and stab you. So there was mayhem.
That's just what I wanted to mention next. They called them toothpicks. They're like they were short blades meant for that kind of fighting. Nobody writes about this stuff. That's why we're talking about it tonight. That close close fighting with that little short blade where, once you shoot them, you can charge and stab them. Remember those old rifles? And then they had the blade on the front. Even in World War II, they had them ones with the
your bayonet, fixed bayonet.
A fixed bayonet, yeah. Because once you ran out of bullets or you were really close to combat fighting, you could at least stab them, right?
And also, some of those folks had swords, and by the time you could pull out this long sword and go to swinging it, you're done stabbed.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the knife was only the blade was only about that long, 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And and so it was just and it was just perfect for close quarters and stab, go to the next guy in the smoke.
That's right. Frightening in the fog, kind of. So anyway, Old Wolf called his men and called them men back and pushed forward again. This is going to be a fight. Oh boy, a fight like that. You steer, nothing you win. It's all at once. And in the middle of it, like lightning, a storm. Okay, Blackfoot women running as fast as an antelope, not stumbling, not begging, and running like the earth owned their path, and past Liver Eater with his blood up and his eyes sharp, and told him what he saw. He says, I pointed, and he should have been more surprised at what had happened next. Well, the thing is there wasn't just back in, this is what I want to talk about with this big fight. It wasn't just men fighting men. It's men and women fighting men and women. It's an all-out battle. You think, oh, it's the warriors went over there, and no, the warriors brought women to reload the guns. You remember they're in the village, and the village is full of women and children. And the men that are there are the warriors trying to protect their men or their children and their women. And the women are reloading guns and fighting too, if they have to. They're, the man knocks the guy down and, maybe stabs him. And then the women come along and cut off his fingers and scalp him and cut his tongue out and gut him, kind of thing. That's what they do. They reload the guns. They patch the wounded. There's a lot more to it than just fighting. Don't you think?
You'd be surprised what a 10-year-old Indian could do with a knife.
Well, yeah, no, I imagine that, but like I said, you got kids fighting, men fighting, women fighting. They're fighting for their lives. You have your village, and these other natives are out there, and they want to get rid of them all. They don't care. They want to get rid of them all, every single one of them. Of course, they want to come coup and take their stuff and all these other things. And, and then you got the wounded, and, the wounded ain't going to survive. If there's a warrior that comes into the wounded space, he's just going to whack everybody, scalp them like he'd been in battle with them on a battlefield, right? He don't care.
Nope.
So, so we're gonna talk about all of this stuff and how it ended up and where everybody went. And oh boy, hey guys, if you got any questions, Skyboy says something about the bayonets. Let me get back to comments here. He says a bayonet on something is not a knife. It's sharpened round point with grooves in it. I don't know much about bayonets. I don't know how many women today could actually do any fighting.
Southern women now.
Huh?
Southern women.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Really?
Some of these Southern women down here are tougher than the men.
Oh.
So, oh yeah.
The elderberry says I have
a war between the North and the South. The North ain't got a chance. All them mamby-pambies up there and ladies down here know how to shoot. And I don't mean a pea pistol neither. I mean a real gun. They go out and go deer hunting and stuff. My next door neighbor, Miss Sheila, you know, I wouldn't want to tick her off when she's got her gun. She's tough now.
You know, not to talk about guns too much about this thing, but it's so funny because we were talking and on Beyond Truth, and we were talking about the percentage about some missing people going missing, and the one guy, he left and he took his gun, and
the scientist,
the scientist guy, and Nina was saying to me, so she says, well, you know, why would he take his gun? You know, he might, you know, commit suicide. That's what he's taking his gun for. Who takes their gun? And I said, this is America.
And he supposedly took a walk in the Arizona desert where there are rattlesnakes and sidewinders and all kinds of things that you might want to shoot to protect yourself, you know.
Yeah. Well, that and the fact that you know, it's just a normal thing around, you know, in the United States. So I did find a video later on, and it was talking about the percentage per 100 people, guns, right? Per 100 people. And it gets to I forget what it gets to. It gets to the United States. And this is the only one I remember. I don't know what how many of the other countries. It went through a whole bunch of countries. But when it got to the United States, it was 120 guns per 100 people.
And 20 extra guns for 100 people, huh? In case somebody runs out.
Somebody runs out, yes. And
we got extras, buddy.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I know pretty much everybody I know has a gun or several of them, and you know, it's just a normal thing around in the United States, is it not? Or am I just delusional?
No, well, it might not be a pistol, but folks that got rifles down here, rifles and shotguns, you know, don't go be breaking in somebody's house. You're going to get met with a 12 gauge.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people with concealed carry who carry on. I don't know about Georgia where you live, but I know here
It's seen open people carry here.
Yeah, I've seen people carry right on their hip, walking in the store, like no problem, nobody's business, you know. And so it's just normal, you know. And why that is, I mean, that's just normal here. I don't know why other countries don't have it. You know, do you think it promotes more violence or suicides or anything?
I don't.
You don't think it causes any more of that stuff?
Well, because there was that one guy, I can't remember what city it was, but you know, this guy was shooting on the street and killed a person, and you know, and the cops didn't get there, and so this guy took him down.
Yeah,
he went to his car and got his weapon and took him down. And so it's like, you know, that's why I don't think we need to worry about you know, an army ever invading us, because Americans have too many guns.
That's just true.
And not only that, but we have weapons. ask Barry about it. He's got swords, you know, and I know other people who like to, you know, collect swords and katanas and Japanese blades and things, and you know, so
yeah,
people should be, you know, the rest of the world, and I don't mean this, you know, nastily, but they need to be afraid of us. You know, we have weapons.
Yeah, everywhere.
And I'm not military, but I have weapons. I own an air gun that's very powerful. Actually, I own two of them, but they say that now that all the laws have changed, that I'm because I was a felon or am a felon. I'd rather say I was, but that I can apply for be able to carry permit. So,
yeah. So it's just a normal thing. This is the United States, so it's normal. You know, hunting and stuff. It's just normal. Anyway, back in the day, all these people had guns because they had to protect themselves from the natives. And again, it's the weapon of superiority that protects you. The mountain men had better. We talked about hawk and rifles. They were a little longer. They shot better. They were more accurate. The natives had the trade guns, which were still a gun. It just was more of a shorter barrel. Couldn't shoot as far. Wasn't as accurate. We didn't have that rifling inside. I think you told me that last week, right?
Yep. Well, the rifling came around the time of the Civil War, but to the point though, back in those days, everybody was about equal. It took, the only thing that was any better was how quick could you reload.
Yeah.
And so the white people were better at it because they used their guns for hunting. And if they shot at a deer and missed, they wanted to reload quick enough in case they had another shot.
Yeah. Well,
so
and that,
white people were better at reloading than the Indians.
Yeah. I guess it's just more practice.
Exactly. They simply had more practice than the Indians. It wasn't that the Indians were stupid. They knew how to do it. And some of the Indians were quick too now. But the white man, it wasn't just for protection. They had to go out and shoot things to eat.
Yeah.
So, and they had practice in shooting as well.
Yeah, they did. They did. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. But when there's a ruckus going on and a fracas, every man for himself, you load up and point in the direction you think there is somebody and you shoot.
Yes.
Because like I was saying, because of all the smoke. And if you've never been to a reenactment where they use old gunpowder and, and it smokes the place up, you should go, because just to see the smoke and how much it is it's amazing. It's a bunch of smoke.
Okay. Yep. Oh yeah. Let's see. Guns here, and air gun is a BB gun. Yes, I don't consider
not these days.
Yeah, you got those pellet guns. I got a couple of those pellet guns, and man, they go. Holy cow! One pump and it's like bang.
Yep, I got a 22, and it sounds like a 22 when it goes off, and it's an air gun, and it's a single pump, and I can shoot it, and then as I'm pumping again, another pellet goes into the barrel, and I'm cocked and ready to go again. So it don't take long to reset another pellet in these new guns they have.
Yeah, I only got the ones where you got to put one pellet in at a time, so I'm kind of a little backwards on that.
Yeah, well, I've got one of those too, and it's a little slower, but with the new ones, man, they got 60 caliber. I mean, they got some powerful air guns these days.
Wow.
So somebody says, well, I got an air gun. You better ask them what kind and what the caliber is, because, it ain't a BB gun anymore.
Did you know that Lewis and Clark had an air gun when they went across the country?
No.
Yes, they did. It was very heavy. The butt of the gun was the canister to hold the air, and then you had to pump it up, and I guess it shot quite a bullet. It was very powerful, and they took that with them.
You know what? That makes sense. You know why? Because they could run out of ammo.
Well, that's true. They could run out of gunpowder.
Gunpowder could get wet. I mean, so to have an air rifle to be able to shoot something, especially if it was powerful enough to take down any kind of critter, that meant that they was going to have something to eat. So, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
So see, air guns been around for a long time.
A long time. I think it was invented by the the French, I think. But here, let's read about this for a second. The Gandini air rifle, or Gandani, was a revolutionary 22-shot, 46 caliber repeating air rifle carried by Meriwether Lewis and on the Lewis and Clark expedition in 1803 to 1806. It was used to demonstrate immense firepower to the Native American tribes, firing without smoke or loud noise, and it served as a valuable, intimidating tool for hunting and protection. The mechanism was a breech-loaded repeater using a tubular magazine that held 22 lead balls, allowing for rapid fire. The power source, the buttstock, was a detachable iron flask that acted as an air reservoir, typically pressurized to 800 pounds with a hand pump. The capacity could fire approximately 30 shots at useful air pressure reservoir with an effective range for over 100 yards. The historical impact, Native American tribes often called it the Great Medicine because of its silence and rapid firing capability without gunpowder. The origin developed around 1780 by something Gardellini in Austria. It was used by the Austrian army before being acquired by Lewis in Philadelphia around 1803. The rifle is approximately 4 feet long and weighed about 10 pounds. Well, that ain't too bad. Despite being fragile, it provided a significant psychological edge during the expedition. A surviving example of the type of air rifle used by Lewis and Clark is currently exhibited at the NRA National Sporting Arms Museum in Springfield, Missouri. Well, how about that?
That's close to elderberry.
Yeah. Look at that. It detaches, so I didn't know that. Huh. I suppose you get this package of goodies to pump it up. Looks like, bottles and stuff, but.
Wowzers.
Wow, look at that. How about that? You'd have never thought it, right? And air, they have air rifles nowadays too, but big ones. But,
yeah, mine looks like that one with the sight on it there on the left.
I don't know why this didn't catch on, considering it could shoot repeated, like in a fight. That would have been back then, that would have been a big deal. Shooting over and over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, why didn't they use it in the Civil War?
Yeah, that is a good question. I don't know.
But I've had some powerful air rifles for the last 30 years. And Benjamin had made an air rifle for many, many years with a wood stock and everything. And mostly it was for plunking, but then it got to the point where you could pump up several times and, it would shoot at a pretty good distance. And so it was good enough for squirrel hunting and that kind of thing and small rodents, but now they got them to go pig hunting.
Huh. Wow.
So, the fact that air rifles are making a huge comeback over these last 10 years, we'll say, and the last 5 years is amazing. And I think of it in the last week or two, they just had like a grand championship for air rifles competition.
Wow.
I don't know who won, but there's a lady down in the Tampa region. She shoots iguanas.
Really?
Because there's so many lizards down there, and somebody will call her up and say, look, we got a couple of nuisance ones down around our boat dock or hanging around the house, or would the police come get them? And from what I understand, there are folks who eat them.
Wow.
The iguanas. So
it's kind of like prairie dogs here, only they don't eat them. But,
yeah, maybe
shoot them all the time. Anyway, I heard they make good pets too, though. Okay, so we start out a little bit before the battle, the big battle. There's the Gros Ventres village, the Gros Ventres, the Bloods, the Blackfeet. We got all these groups of Indians, and the turning point is so what happens is we got the party, and they have an attack by the Crow back at the Blackfoot camp. They count the losses, or back at camp. Yeah. So after there was this attack by the Crow, they have to regroup. And this is where the turning point comes with the mountain men. Remember, from the last show, they were about 5 miles away, and the natives kept coming down, and they were attacked, and now they were attacked by the Crow, and this is where they said, hey, we need to move closer to back to the camps, to the Indian camp. You need to move closer. That's what the chief said. Anyway, they count their losses, bury their dead, and treat their wounded and their horses. Now remember, the horses get wounded too. A horse is a big object. I'd like to point that out. So then we have the old wolf. Old wolf says, hey, if we would have just chased them down, they won't come back. They're going to give a warning to the Blackfeet. And he's telling this to the Gros Ventres, who, are saying, that's just not our thing. We chased them off and they ran away, and we're going to call it a day and celebrate the scalps we got. We're going to have a big feast and honor the dead and honor the living and honor the warriors. And, we're going to make the best of it. There was, men and women that got killed in the black. So, they have a hospital lodge, and they have, all these things going on. But in the meantime, they have this big wingding, and old wolf is mad because he knows they're going to come back. And I think the Gros Ventres knew it too. So let's see, where do I got my notes here? So they're going to set up a surprise. It's kind of hard to set up a surprise, but yet they need food. So they can all these things have to go together. They need to be close enough to the buffalo herd to get food. They have to be in a good spot that they can repel the the Bloods and the Blackfeet when they come. And they know they're coming. They just don't know when. And you got to remember, the time of year was like, kind of getting cold in November, and it's kind of lightly snowing out, and they can track everybody really good. So that they know they're coming, and they know that one camp or another is going to have fires around, the campfires. And if the Blackfeet and the Bloods have campfires, they know they're going to be close by. It kind of gives it away. So they want to attack soon. They didn't come out because they're not next to the buffalo. The Gros Ventres are. So anyway, the women, they're trying to round up the horses. They're trying to get ready for this event, the big battle. And so they're building small corrals for the horses, because the Blackfeet are known for being horse stealers. And that's what they would do. They'll fight and they'll steal all your horses, which is almost as bad as killing you, because without horses, you can't chase the buffalo. You can't do anything. You're kind of stranded, and you may starve to death in the winter, because that's your food source too, on 4 legs. So they're making these corrals. They make them out of branches of cottonwood. Basically, it's just brush kind of thrown together to make a corral. And the women did all this work. Most of this work was done by the women. They dug trenches to protect themselves. They set up the camps in different spots. They had the warriors organized in different spots. They had meetings about what was to come. They had guards set out. It was quite the narration when I had to read about this. You know, how they had everything set up. They had it. They had an idea what was going on, and they really carried it out. Let's see what else I got here. Old Wolf was basically, he is the guy. He knows what he's doing, and he's directing his mountain men where to go and what to do. Let's see, and old liver eater, he's kind of like second in charge. He's like the second most powerful guy in the thing. And then they had some guys come from far away to help out too. So they were a total of like 18 guys. And they're waiting for this battle. And and it wasn't just like waiting a day, it was multiple days, enough that they had to go and hunt some buffalo to you know, I suppose the other forces of the Bloods and the Blackfeet were, you know, organizing their men, planning out their attack too.
And they still had to eat.
Yeah, that's what I said. They had to stay close to the buffalo herd, and just like a day or so before the attack, they had to go buffalo hunting to get some meat because they ran out of stuff, and they were, you know, here they are. They really didn't want to leave the village, because they knew if they sent too many people to go hunt the buffalo, that, you know, there goes our warriors, and then they will be attacked. You know, because the buffalo don't live right around the corner. There may be, you know, 5 or 10 miles away, and you know, if there's an attack, you know, 5 or 10 miles, you're not going to hear what's going on. You may hear some gunshots, but heck, it's going to take you a good hour to get back to the camp. So, let's see.
At least.
Yes, that's what you. I'm reading some of the comments. Susie Q saying women can't hand-to-hand combat with men. You need an equalizer. That's what my mama said. Yeah, and that's true. That's why that's the thing with a gun. But these Native women, they had knives. All of them had knives. They had knives and bayonet stuff. They had whatever they could carry.
Everything was arrows when they did it.
Bows and arrows.
Didn't have a gun.
Yep. So there's a lot to this. A lot of planning. Let's see, where am I here now? Got all this. So you got, let's see, so you got who do we got here? We have, these are the trappers, and there's a bunch of them. We got Old Wolf. He's the key leader. Remember, he directs the fights. He calls the retreats. He confronts the chief in council. You know, he's top dog. Remember, he takes the battle like really slow. Then we got Liver Eater. He's very aggressive fighter. You know, he's portrayed as kind of reckless, but he's violent. He went chasing after a bunch of the Indians all by himself. You know, I mean, he just puts himself in harm's way all the time. We got Tip. He's bold, impulsive, and sometimes goes too far. And, you know, but he's also known as a devil in the fight. So, and then we got Black Fox. He's a trapper. He's a fighter. He shows up in the action with Tip and others. Yank, another trapper. He mentions, we got Simmons. He's involved with the fighting movement of the group. And we got Long Jim. I love these names. He's wounded and later appears in the hospital lodge. LaFontaine, badly wounded, and appears in the hospital lodge, weak but still conscious. I don't know if he makes it. I think we'll figure out who makes it or not. We got Bangkok. He receives a fatal wound during the fighting, so Bangkok gets killed off. And we got the Colonel. He's one of them guys that came to help him out. Part of the trapper group, also wounded. He got hit by an arrow, killed. Pharmacy. He was the Indian chief. He's the big Indian chief. Pharmacy is. We have Star Robe. He's another chief. Remember, there's more chiefs in a village than just one. And then we have Nance. She's a woman that in the village. She's the woman that they rescued. Well, didn't rescue. They took her from the raiding Indians that raided them once before earlier. And one of the group, I think it was the colonel, he ended up marrying her, and they were all jealous. But she could cook, she could clean, she could doctor wounds. She was a real big part of the group. Okay, and then we got the Blackfeet. They were the opposing force. We got the Bloods. They were like an offshoot of the Blackfeet. They were fighting alongside Blackfeet. Lucy, they captured another woman from the Bloods, and Liver Eater got her, and she becomes his wife, and she takes to him right away. And so now there's two women in camp, and they're working together, so that was great. They had animals. We have Black Eagle. This was a prize horse. He was wounded in the fight. We got Blackjack. He appears with the Kentuckian, which was a person. The horses names. Okay, so we got the horses. Horses were a big part of the fighting. If you have our narrator, he has one of the fastest horses. He did some trading, and somehow he owned a horse and a mule. And this horse was very fleet of foot, and all the Indians wanted to trade for his horse, but he would not sell that horse. Okay, so as the fight started, before the fight started, these people were all sitting on pins and needles until some guy, some native, comes running into camp and, saying they're coming. They're coming, and boy, what do you think the tension would have been inside that camp?
Be sweating blood.
Oh, yeah.
We don't understand what it's like, or at least most of us.
That's the thing, and it's not. That's another thing. It ain't going to be missiles and gunshots from far away. You're going to see these guys right up close.
Well, now, them Indians was sneaky. They had to, you got a cabin out in the woods and ain't nobody for 3 miles,
Yeah.
And some Indian or somebody sneaks up on you with a knife, and you don't know they're there unless you got a dog.
Well, that's true. I'm sure the natives had plenty of dogs there, and they had so they had all these horses, and they're camped up by a river, and that way they could get the branches from the cottonwood trees that line the river to make. They also, when the grass ran out, they fed the horses cottonwood branches and leaves, and the horses survived on branches and leaves. Did you know that? Okay.
Yeah. Well, in the old cowboy movies, they always tied them up to the trees.
Yep.
If there were trees.
A picket line. Yes. So let's see here. I got a short bit about what stupid dog. Dogs have got gas. Okay, so this is where we go. 1 minute the village is living its life, and the next it's riders and shouting and with motion everywhere. The Gros Ventres warriors mounting up, and the Mountaineers gathering fast, trying to keep from getting scattered. Hamilton keeps stressing the same frontier rule: stay together, keep your powder dry. That is a big point. Remember, they got powder. It gets wet, your gun won't fire. And don't let the enemy split you into pieces. Not physically cut you up, but move you from your partner.
Divide you.
Yes, divide you up. The fighting kicks off and with quick moves for position. Men angling for the flank, trying to hit from a place that the other side doesn't expect, because it's telling the sides that get the first close, solid volley often wins. The spirit of the fight before it wins the ground. So I suppose if you well, that's like they always say, you kill off the chief, and then you usually win the battle, because everybody's like, oh my gosh, the chief is dead, let's go, we got to get out of here, nobody to guide us. Right.
Yeah, well, remember back in those days, they all lined up in a row to fight.
Not the natives. So the
No, right,
natives.
right. But the white men were prone to do that.
Yes.
But now not necessarily the pioneer men. So my point to that is that it depended on what they learned. So if some of those pioneer men had been in the army, or if they'd been instructed on how to fight, they would have lined up. There
Yep.
wouldn't have been one guy over there and one guy over there, which is what the Indians did. Here, Blue Jay, go over there and hide behind that big boulder. Yes, Timosabi.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Once the shooting starts, it's a ride, fire, reload, and ride again. And when the rifles and the pistols run empty, the fight compresses into close range chaos. Hamilton paints it as a mix of mounted charges and sudden stops, with men using whatever cover they can find and then surging forward when someone's line wobbles. Old Wolf comes off like an anchor, and the one calling men and pushing them out again. I guess you got to have somebody to say, go, run, go, because if nobody's doing that, everybody looks at it. I know how that is. If you don't have a leader, everybody's looking, you want to go first? You want to go first? Till somebody points at you and says, get out there and go. Right? That's you.
And sometimes it was like, let's go.
Yes, exactly. Tip and the others act like sparks thrown off a grinding wheel, sometimes bold enough to become a problem. The whole battle in Hamilton's mouth is about momentum. When one side begins to break, the other tries to press hard enough to turn the retreat into a rout. But the danger is always the same. Push too far and you ride into a trap. If you lose your horses and men in the process, because I suppose let's run, and then somebody stays back and you shoot the other guy. I suppose.
Well, but not only that, but the people who are running, if they're smart, and they're being chased. So as they're being chased, the chasers, they're
thinning out.
Lines are getting thin.
Yeah.
So there's 10 guys chasing, and now these guys run a little faster. Now there's 5 guys. Well, there's 5 guys back here. They're still chasing, but they're behind, Well, in the meantime, folks are dropping off on either side, and they'll pick off those 5 guys in the back.
Yep.
While those 5 guys in the front, they're still doing the heavy duty chasing, and the Indians are looking over the shoulder and going, are they still back there? Yeah. Okay. Keep running then, so they'll keep chasing, and that's why the white people would normally give up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like coyotes. You ever see a coyote, how they get in a group of 2 or 3 or 4, and then they corner their prey? I used to have coyotes out by the house when I lived in Wisconsin, and we'd go out riding, and the dogs would be out there, and all of a sudden you got 2 coyotes that come and harass the dog, right? And the dog would give chase, and he would run after him. And then he would run it, the 2 coyotes would run into the woods and kind of stand there looking at him, and he's a barking on the edge of the woods, right? Well, he's got all his focus right in front of him as 2 more coyotes come around and flank him, and so he's out there, he's got his focus right. And then these other 2 walk out like nobody's business, and all of a sudden go to attack, and he don't know what's going on. So that's kind of how they did it,
And the fox does the same thing, but he doesn't usually go back around and attack. But fox, that's why they call him a fox, so that he would get to a point where the he'd be being chased, but then the dogs chasing him would run past, and then they'd lose his scent, and he'd be like doodly doodly doo and off on his own. So yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so in the momentum here, after the fight, the tone turns hard and heavy, and Hamilton shifts from battle talk to grim work, counting who's hurt and burying the dead, and trying to keep wounded men and wounded horses alive. The village reacts with a mixed mourning and fierce pride, while the mountaineers talk it through like professionals, trying to learn what and when right and what almost got them killed. I suppose it's like a battle strategy. I do that at work, like, oh yeah, we had this happen and what went wrong and how can we improve it next time and what can we do to change this? How can we do that? And blah, 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 blah. And then according to what I read in here, like after the fight, the Indians didn't do much of that. They had a council or whatever, and they decided if they were going to go attack more, but mostly it was mourning. And, they would cut off their fingers or cut their hair or something like that if one of their family died. So that it was kind of sad in a way. I don't know, the woman, the husband died and she cuts her fingers off or something. I don't get it. I don't know if I could do that.
No, but we didn't live back then either. But also, why did the white man do it? Well, the white man was used to calculating, and so the natives lived in that area. They were, there's hills and valleys and stuff. I mean, even in my own neighborhood here, there's over the hill, and then there's down the hill over there, and then there's down by the river this way, and so if you don't know the area, so if you just had a battle and the Indians came in at you from a certain direction, you'd want to go kind of scope that out and find out whether or not they're going to use that same direction, and find out maybe you got better cover over here a little ways, and so they look at the whole situation. And so because they had just got there, the mountain men, they didn't really know what was going on as far as the terrain.
Yep.
They just got into the battle hot and heavy, but the next morning they could look around and go, well, let's dig a trench over here, guys, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's for sure. So okay, hang on here. The village reacts. Okay. They're planning that. So the mountain men are getting around and they're talking about, what went wrong and what we can do. And, so Old Wolf, he goes in and he's trying to tell the what to do. Oh, why isn't my computer doing that? Anyway, so Old Wolf starts arguing, and Hamill leaves the frontier feeling that the country is still loaded with Indians, and they knew they didn't get enough of the Blackfeet or the Bloods, and they knew eventually they would come back and, fight again. And Old Wolf was mad. He says, we should just muster our forces and go after them and wipe them out. Just like the Bloods were going to wipe them out. He's trying to turn the foot, but, the way it seems like every time there's an attack or something, the Indians aren't really gung-ho on, let's go kill all our enemies, wipe them out. They're more like, they attacked us, we fought, we're done, we're going to go mourn our dead, and we'll live to fight another day. Right?
Yeah.
I just don't know. So anyway, after the fighting, after the fight, the story turns of how we won and who's still breathing. The first hours are, quite sad. To bring the men in, check who can walk and who can't, and who's fading. They start pulling arrows, the binding wounds, trying to stop bleeding, and doing the same for the horses, because out there a wounded horse can mean the difference between getting home and getting caught. The victory, remember, there's arrows flying everywhere. There's horses in corrals, The horses are going to, gunshots, if I'm shooting at you and there's a horse behind you, he's going to get killed too. He's just, in the wrong place at the wrong time, I suppose, something like that. The victory feeling burns off fast, and what's left is the bandages, water, blankets, and a whole lot of quiet swearing. Then comes the hard accounting. They count the dead, and the camp shifts into brutal burial mode. No speeches, no romance, just the earth and the facts. He describes men dying later in the hospital lodge, not always on the field, which is one of the most realistic parts of the whole story. On the frontier, you can survive and fight, and you can lose the weak. And while the trappers are burying and nursing, the village is doing its own after battle rhythm. Mourning mixed with celebration, and a lot of talk about who did what and who saved who and who showed bravery or who hesitated. See, I suppose they're doing their own talking, but it's different than the white man. The white men are digging graves. I think they lost 3 guys in the end right away. I mean, 3 guys died, and then a bunch of them were wounded, and a couple of them died later. But then
you
it comes
mean of the mountain men?
Yeah, of the mountain men.
Okay.
Three guys died during the battle, and I guess like they're talking about the aftermath. I mean, if you get stuck by an arrow, you're not gonna die like right away. You're gonna bleed
unless it's hit you in the chest,
yes.
or just below the stomach or something, where you're gonna spurt blood, and they can't, and you can't stop it. If it's in the arm or the leg or the shoulder or something like that, or portions of your back, you might have a punctured lung, but you're not dead.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing
feel
too.
Like you're going to be dead, but
and that's the thing too. People, we forget about. I don't know that much about bows and arrows, but I do know that the bows that they had back in the day were not the bows that we have today, where here I got a 60-pound bow, or 80-pound, or I got a compound bow. It's just a bent piece of wood with a string, and you're shooting a little arrow made out of a stone then distance wise, hitting something is going to be.
I've got just a regular pull the bows kind of thing. It's not a compound bow or anything like that. It's a recurve or whatever, but you pull that sucker back and let her go.
Yeah.
And especially in a short distance, you're going to hurt something. I can poke holes in all kinds of things with just a rounded, what they call it, a tip for practicing.
Yeah.
So to have a real rock on the end that's sharp, and that flint is sharp.
Oh yeah, I'm not doubting that.
And if it's traveling at 500 feet per second, and those bows, not all of them were just tree branches. Them guys carved them out. They carved special things on them. They learned how to make a bow. And one of the first things that young braves did was they learned how to make their own bow. And them things were strong now, and they knew how to make them.
Yes.
So, there's some guys on YouTube who they're medieval bowers, and they use big, tall, long bows and things like back in the day. And them guys are accurate from a long distance away. I could barely do was see that circle on that I can't think of the word on the target. And this guy be standing, 75 yards away, and he pulled that bow back and aim up there and hit it dead center. And so they knew how to shoot them bows and arrows now. And I watched a video the other day, and it showed them sitting around the fire in between times, they'd been out and they'd hunted and everything. And it showed them sitting by the fire and using their teeth and they would straighten the arrow, and they'd heat it a little bit and put in a little bit of water, and then they'd straighten it with their teeth. And they were all sitting around the fire making arrows and straighten them up. Those things looked like they had been store-bought by the time they got done with them. And so how they put the arrow tips on the end of them, I was mighty surprised. I mean, there was like, man, they really know how to do that mess, but they have to depend on it every day. So don't discount the fact that just because they had a bow and some arrows, that they were not effective.
Oh, I'm not saying they weren't, but it's not the same as like today. I got arrows for my bow, and it's like, holy cow, it's like 4 razor blades on that thing with barbs. Like if it's going in, it's not coming out at all.
Whereas,
with a stone head, it's like that thing it's gonna go in you. Yeah, it's sharp, but it's only 2 sides versus the powerful bows we got today. I'm trying to compare the situation. Like if I got a shot with an arrow made out of a stone versus one of the ones we got today, holy cow.
One of those hunting arrows? Oh no, I would not want to get hit with one of those. No.
Yeah, I mean, they shoot one of those things and it'll take down a deer or an elk with one shot. It's pretty badass. But
they're powerful. Yeah.
But again, and they can do it from quite a long distance away very accurately. And I just don't see, the old time arrows being that powerful, that accurate as today's are. I'm sure those guys
as today's, no. But back in the day, they were damned accurate.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I've watched these natives who build things for primitive showing and stuff like that, and they're I would not, back in the day, I would not want to go against that guy over there. He's got this old piece of stick and a string. I don't go over there. I mean, especially a 6'2" gymongous Blackfoot Indian who has the intent to kill you. So anyway, yeah. But I'm just saying, they were better than you might think. So
oh yeah, like I said, I wouldn't want to get hit with one, but I'm just saying, I think with the arrows today, you get shot one time and you're pretty much down and out. Back then you could probably take 2 or 3 arrows in you before you were really down and out, kind of thing. Because they had those little they had those shields they made out of buffalo hide, and that would bounce off an arrow, too. So I'm thinking, I guess I could see that.
Something also, and having played around a fire a lot over the years, one of the things that I saw in this video with this tribe is that they would just take the stick and put a point on it. But certain types of trees, you can do this to, but you can harden the tip. The Africans do it. You can harden certain woods in the fire, and you get it a little bit, and then you pull it out, and you use your finger, and you pull the crust off, and then you put it back in there, and you get it good and hot, and you see it steaming, and then you pull it out, and you put your finger on it. You can make something as hard as a brick. So some of their arrows, where they didn't have flint, they just, sharpened the tip of their arrows and then hardened them in the fire. And those things would go right in you.
Yeah.
And they'd come right back out. But those are the ones that they rolled in poo.
Yeah, that was another thing. Yeah, it was like a death sentence. They did that on that movie or that show Yellowstone, where they shot the girl and they'd run it into, they took their arrow and put it in horse poop or something, and then when you got shot, it didn't kill you, but it killed you later on.
Yeah, you got infected and it hurt, But to the to the point, having watched some primitives before, and having had some primitives, I've had a couple of Indian folks stay here with me on the property over the years. And we'd sit around the fire, and the one, the shaman Joe, he'd go, this is how you do it, Dave, and we'd take it, we'd made a bow from stuff out in the woods, and we did the whole primitive thing. And I'll tell you what, I was surprised at how, if you work a crooked piece of stick, you can turn it straight, and then you know work the end of it to where it's like, wow, that hurt somebody.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt somebody, especially if it was flying through the air, and how to find feathers and how to knock the end of it and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I'm going to wrap this up, and then we'll be on to cards and story, and you got a good one for tonight. So good deal.
It's an interesting story, and the name of it is I was practicing earlier before we got on before we got online here, and I was like, how do you pronounce that name? Well, nobody's gonna know, and if I goof it up, you'll understand why. If you follow along and you see how do you pronounce that name? Everybody's going to go, huh? Well, I think Dave's got it close. So that's what I'm shooting for, is to try to get it close. Hey, right. Can y'all wait just a minute? I got coffee in there and I need a sip.
You go get your sip of coffee. I'm going to finish this up. Okay, everybody. Anyway, when the noise is gone and you can hear a horse breathing hard and somebody's moaning in the dark like they're trying to scare up the rest of the camp, that's when the real work starts, because at the last shot, you get to celebrate right away. You've got to first gather what's left of your people after the fight. You count your men, you count your horses, quick and quiet, and with that sick feeling in your gut, and you look at the faces by the firelight, and you already know which ones won't be there tomorrow. Like I said, some of the guys are just bleeding out. And then comes the tending. Not just men, horses too. Folks forget that part, and they're out there with your horse is a half your life. So you pull arrows, you bind wounds, you hold pressure where you can, and you pray the animal stays on its feet. A wounded horse can't tell you it's afraid, but you can see it in the whites of its eyes and the pain it hits. And then it comes the part nobody wants to do. You bury the dead. Not with speeches and not with glory, but with shovels, hands, and silence. Earth thumping down on a man's chest like a door shutting. And every time you pat that mound flat, you feel that the frontier's true rule. Out here, the land takes what it wants, and it doesn't explain itself. Meanwhile, the village is doing what villages do after the blood has been spilled, mourning, the pride mixed together. You hear songs, you hear shouting, you hear people telling the story of what happened, and because telling it is how they make it bearable. And at the same hour, somebody is crying for a lost relative. Somebody else is counting what they captured, and both are true at the same time. And then comes the council. That's where a man like Old Wolf steps forward, and you realize the fight isn't over in his people's minds. He's not interested in comfort. The interest is the next week. He says, plain as a rifle shot, you've had them running. You've got to press it on. And the chiefs push back because they're thinking about lodges and children and wounded men and tired horses. They're thinking of the chase can become a trap. Old Wolf is thinking letting the enemy slip away means revenge comes back heavier. The kind of argument that only happens after a fight when everybody has survived and nobody agrees that survived is going to cost next time. So when the fire burns low and the coffee goes cold, that's what's left. Bandages, fresh graves, quiet horses, and the horizon that still feels loaded. because of the plains, victory doesn't seem safe. It just buys you time. And then, so that's kind of what happened. And then everybody leaves. And then, well, in the end, like a year or two later, the Bloods and the Blackfeet, they do come back, and they wiped out a good portion of the Gros Ventres. They really got them good. So, Old Wolf was right. He was right. They didn't come back and fight the next day. They came back a year or two later and really did them in when they were probably least expecting it. And that's kind of how the warfare out there went. There was lots of battles between tribes. We don't think about the battles between tribes because nobody was there to account for it. These mountain men that were there were some of the first mountain men, and the Indians didn't hate them and try to scalp them right away. They befriended them because there was trading to do and money and things like that. It was only after the white man came and drove and chased the buffalo away and killed all their animals, kind of like the mountain men were doing, is they were wiping out all the wolves and they were wiping out the foxes and the beavers. And well, the Indians didn't really think too much of it because, hey, it's wolves, less for us to worry about. Oh, they're killing some of the bear. Less for us to worry about. Oh, they're killing the foxes and the beaver. Oh, well, no big deal. We don't use foxes and beaver that often. But when the white man came and killed all the buffalo off, it was a different story. They wrecked their homeland. They dammed up the rivers. They killed off the buffalo. They fenced off the land and raised cattle and changed the scenery by building houses, by cutting down all the trees. And it literally changed everything that they knew for hundreds and hundreds of years. That's when the natives didn't like the white man anymore.
But the trapper, although they trapped and shot a bunch of wolves and beaver and stuff, they absolutely did have a different attitude towards the land. And even though they were white men, Frenchmen, some of them German, but the trapper had an affinity for the land. They knew if they did too much in one area, they knew they needed to spread out their territory. They knew what to do. They didn't pull out every beaver in a beaver pond. They trapped the beaver and got as many as the traps would catch,
Yeah.
But at the end of it all, but it was when the other white men came in that was, the trappers were greedy. Don't get me wrong, but they understood about the land better than the rest of the folks that came after them.
Yeah.
The other folks, they were just mercenaries for, whatever they could get.
Well, exactly. And that was the thing. The mountain men came in there, the trappers and such. They came in there to trap and to trade and bring some wealth and some new things to the natives. Maybe some rifles, maybe some medicine, maybe some blankets and cloth that they really wanted. They also, and they helped them and would earn stuff. Remember in the story, the Gros Ventres were providing pack horses and stuff and helping them bring their pelts to the fort. So it was a kind of a hand-in-hand adventure there. They were also depending on the mountain men to help them protect them from the Bloods and the Blackfeet when the battle arose.
And also the fact that the mountain men knew these tribes and knew the chiefs, that, the mountain men, and even later on, they were used as scouts, right? But in the early days, in the 1700s, when the trading and everything, they weren't being used so much as scouts, meaning the pioneer men, the trappers, as they were as the intermediaries. Is like, hey, you know how to talk to them Indians over there? Yeah. Go tell them to calm their butt down. We don't want a war, or whatever. What do they want? We'll trade them something if they'll go home.
Yep.
Go talk to them. So there was that too.
Well, and that's true. But like I said, the mountain men didn't come there to cut down the trees, reshape the land, fence things off and say, this is mine. And, I'm going to come and destroy your tribe and burn your village down and all that. He was there as a working, he didn't want that stuff from them. And he didn't want to come and invade their land, change their lives. Hey, you can't speak English. You can't speak native tongue no more. You have to speak English. You can't go hunt the buffalo. He didn't come in with new rules and regulations.
And the trappers are the ones that learned the Indian language. And the trappers are the ones that many times moved in with the Indians.
Yeah.
And had their wives and children. We've read and talked about that. And so that was more common than not. And one of the things is that some of the men would leave their white wives in the East.
Yep.
And they found that they were more compatible with the pioneer lifestyle by having a native wife.
Yes, exactly. They
got along a lot better. And I can see why. Being an old man the way I am and having met, some of them native women who just understand about the land. It's not a big deal. And, oh, you're going to go hunting? Yeah. Okay. I'll see you when you get back.
Yep.
None of this. Well, are you going to be back before dark or, what?
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, so that kind of finishes off our story for that. We're going to be on to a new one next week. But if you want, go out and read this book. If you get a chance, The Journal of a Mountaineer. It's very interesting. His journey, learning about the mountain men in the early days. Like I said, it was great to see how the natives and the white man got together and worked together, fought together, ate together, did all these things together as like a working mechanism, not like, oh boy, look, Indians, let's battle them. Let's go burn their village down and shoot them all. No, nothing like that. There were wars, again, there were wars between tribes. And that was a normal thing all the time out there, tribes warring among themselves.
And something else too. Why would he want to kill off all the Indians when he can go up there and if he can speak a little language and do a little bartering and trade, he can ask them, so where's the herd? So where are the elk at this time of year? So what's the beaver population like? You seen many? Many, beaver huts, what river's being dammed up, so I can go back up. So, they understood how to network, basically, honest to God, so these early pioneer men, these trappers, they knew how to, I just thought the word just went, but, not just barter with trinkets and things, but barter information.
Yes.
And so, and when you're networking, that's information is like the key, Oh, Joe's he's got a job opening over there. Well, I didn't know that. Well, I better go over and see old Joe, and then you get a job, which you didn't know unless you'd networked. So the same thing, talking with the natives was like, so where are the herds? Well, there's some, there's some goats been up in the top up over there by that mountain.
I think that's one of the key points there. I think more than anything else is that you could speak the language, and you would tend to be more friendly or happy with somebody if they're talking your native tongue versus the guy who comes there and just starts babbling and you have no idea what he's talking about. You're like, see, this is where Hamilton came in. The young guy, he could speak native tongue. He did the sign language thing. He knew how to do native sign language, and that's why they took him along, even though he wasn't a trapper. He could speak the sign language, so he could talk to all the natives through sign language, and which helped them out tremendously.
Absolutely. You know, and I refer to some of the old cowboy movies, which in retrospect, they were spot on with, the one cowboy who's arrogant and, a bunch of damn natives, and it's like, and then there's the kid who like has picked up sign language,
Yep.
and he can talk with the chief, and all of a sudden he's more important than this great big brute of a cowboy, and the
That's
big
right.
cowboy's like, well, I could have done that, or but you know what I mean. So it's like um the right off, there was no ambiguity as far as the trappers were concerned. They knew they had to communicate, and it wasn't like you said a few minutes ago about learning my language and learning English or learning how to talk. No, the communication was, how can I learn your language so I can talk to you?
And I think that's something that we have to try to remember even today. I always like to refer things from then to today. It's like we got people coming across the border who don't speak our native tongue, but yet we're supposed to welcome them in and then say, oh, it's okay, you don't speak our language. We'll conform to you. We'll spell everything in your language. We will talk in your language so that you can keep your culture while you live here. See, and I think
Press
that's
3
wrong.
for Espanol.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point. Is like if you come from there to here, you better learn the language. Learn how to speak it. I mean,
Well,
that's the whole point,
and
right?
to become a citizen, they changed the citizenship rules. But back when I was in school, to become a citizen from another country, you had to know how to speak English. You
Yeah.
needed to learn how to read English so that you could read road signs and stuff. Duh.
That's right.
And that was in the early 60s on through to 70, as far as I knew then, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So now it's like, oh no, you can go get a Spanish driver's license. What? No, I'm sorry. Learn. This is one thing that I don't argue much about anymore because nobody listens. But learn freaking English.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I'm
know.
sorry, you came here.
That's right.
I didn't ask you to come, and it's now that you're here, you're going to teach me Spanish or Ukrainian or something. No, you came to America. Learn freaking English.
That's right. And then
And
assimilate or go home. That's right.
there are programs down here, and my friend Marcy, who had passed away a few years ago, she volunteered at a place that um, immigrants, they got together twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they learned English.
Yep.
And they were learning English so they could get their citizenship.
Yep.
Great. Them folks, I'm with them 100%. I'm behind you. You came here and you're not just here for the free ride. You're learning English, and you got a job and you're learning, not only are you learning English to speak it, but you're learning English to write it as well.
Yep.
So, it's like, welcome in, come on in. But then people who are like, I don't need to speak English, you need to learn how to speak my language. No, hell no, I don't. And our current one of the guys that's running for governor here in Georgia. We get to maybe pick one on May the 19th. Um, one of his commercials is, you know, if you come here to our country, we welcome you.
Oh boy.
But you're gonna learn our language, and we will not assimilate to your culture. Okay, I'm voting for that guy.
That's right. There you go. Yeah, we shouldn't have to assimilate. It'd be like the like I said, you know, the guy who, you know, they learned how to speak the native language was welcomed in, whereas the guy who went there and said, "Hey, you natives, you need to learn English so I can talk to you." The natives would have just looked at him and said, "What the fudge? I ain't gonna do that. I hate you." Yeah, kind of thing. So that's what it boils down to. Anyway, you got this story here. You got to get on this, or we're going to burn up a whole hour talking about English. Legend of, I can't even say that.
Yeah, let me pull it up here. I got it in another tab. Yeah, I read through this out loud earlier before we got online, and now say it with me. Oh na wot a quota.
Oh no, wota quota. Oh no. Say it really fast and you don't know what it says. Oh no, what the quota.
Okay, ladies
Did I
and
do good?
gentlemen.
It's all yours. It's all
Let
yours.
me get a slurp of coffee, and I'm on the way. On my way. So, greetings to everyone this evening. I'm a little lopsided. I forget things so easy now. But anyway, so tonight's story is a continuation from what I've been reading from now for many months, from many moons this year. Folklore and Legends, North American Indian by J.B. Lippincott and Company in Philadelphia, 1891. Tonight's story is called The Legend of Onawotaquoto. A long time ago, there lived an aged Ojibwe and his wife on the shores of Lake Huron. They had an only son, a very beautiful boy, named Onawotaquoto, he that catches the clouds. The family were of the totem of the beaver. The parents were very proud of their son and wished to make him a celebrated man. But when he reached the proper age, he would not submit to the Wikundiwin or fast. When this time arrived, they gave him charcoal instead of his breakfast, but he would not blacken his face. If they denied him food, he sought birds' eggs along the shore, or picked up the heads of fish that had been cast away and broiled them. One day he took away violently the food he had prepared and cast him some coals in place of it. This act decided him. He took the coals and blackened his face and went out of the lodge. He did not return, but lay down without to sleep. As he lay, a very beautiful girl came down from the clouds and stood by his side. Ona wota quoto, she said. I am come for you. Follow my footsteps. The young man rose and did as he was bid. Presently he found himself ascending above the tops of the trees, and gradually he mounted up step by step into the air and through the clouds. At length his guide led him through an opening, and he found himself standing with her on a beautiful plain. A path led to a splendid lodge, into which Onawuthaqua followed his guide. It was large and divided into two parts. At one end he saw bows and arrows, clubs and spears, and various warlike instruments tipped with silver. At the other end were things exclusively belonging to women. This was the house of his fair guide, and he saw that she had on a frame a broad, rich belt of many colors that she was weaving. My brother is coming, she said, and I must hide you. Putting him in one corner, she spread the belt over him, and presently the brother came in very richly dressed and shining, as if he had points of silver all over him. He took down from the wall a splendid pipe and a bag in which was a pakozigan, or some smoking mixture. When he had finished smoking, he laid his pipe aside and said to his sister, Nimissa, elder sister, when will you quit these practices? Do you forget that the greatest of the spirits is commanded that you shall not take away the children from below? Perhaps you think you have concealed Onawuthaqua, but do I not know of his coming? If you would not offend me, send him back at once. These words did not, however, alter his sister's purpose. She would not send him back, and her brother, finding that she was determined, called Onawuthaqua from his hiding place. Come out of your concealment, said he, and walk about and amuse yourself. You will grow hungry if you remain there. At these words, Onawuthaqua came forth from under the belt, and the brother presented a bow and arrows with a pipe of red stone, richly ornamented to him. In this way, he gave his consent to Onawuthaqua marriage with his sister, and from that time the youth and the girl became husband and wife. Onawuthaqua found everything exceedingly fair and beautiful around him, but he found no other people besides his wife and her brother. There were flowers on the plains. There were bright and sparkling streams. There were green valleys and pleasant trees. There were gay birds and beautiful animals, very different from those he had been accustomed to. There was also day and night as on the earth, but he observed that every morning the brother regularly left the lodge and remained absent all day. and every evening his sister departed, but generally only for a part of the night. Ona Wotaquoto was curious to solve this mystery and obtained the brother's consent to accompany him in one of his daily journeys. They traveled over a smooth plain which seemed to stretch to limited distances all around. At length, Onawotaquoto felt the gnawings of hunger and asked his companion if there was no game about. Patience, my brother, replied he. We shall soon reach the spot where I eat my dinner, and you will then see how I am provided. After walking on a long time, they came to a place where several fine mats were spread, and there they sat down to refresh themselves. At this place, there was a hole in the sky, and Onawotaquoto, at his companion's request, looked through it down upon the earth. He saw below the great lakes and the villages of the Indians. In one place, he saw a war party stealing on the camp of their enemies. In another, he saw feasting and dancing. On a green plain, some young men were playing at ball, and along the banks of a stream were women employed in gathering the pukawa for mats. Do you see, asked the brother, that group of children playing beside a lodge? Observe that beautiful and active lad, said he, at the same time darting something from his hand. The child immediately fell on the ground and was carried by his companions into the lodge. Onawotaquoto and his companion watched and saw the people below gathering about the lodge. They listened to the shigwa of the meeting, of the meta, to the song he sang, asking that the child's life might be spared. To this request, Onawotaquoto's companion made answer. Send me up a sacrifice of a white dog. A feast was immediately ordered by the parents of the child. The white dog was killed. His carcass was roasted. All the wise men and the medicine men of the village assembling to witness the ceremony. There are many below, said Onawotaquoto's companion, whom you call great in medical skill. They are so because their ears are open, and they are able to succeed because when I call, they hear my voice. When I have struck one with sickness, they direct the people to look to me, and when they make me the offering I ask, I remove my hand from off the sick person, and he becomes well. While he was saying this, the feast below had been served. Then the master of the feast said, We send this to thee, great Manito. And immediately the roasted animal came up. Thus, Onawotaquoto and his companion got their dinner. And after they had eaten, they returned to the lodge by a different path. In this manner, they lived for some time. But at last the youth got weary of the life. He thought of his friends and wished to go back to them. He could not forget his native village and his father's lodge. and he asked his wife's permission to return. After some persuasion, she consented. Since you are better pleased, she said, with the cares and ills and poverty of the world than with the peaceful delights of the sky and its boundless prairies, go. I give you my permission, and since I have brought you hither, I will conduct you home. Remember, however, that you are still my husband. I will hold a chain in my hand by which I can, whenever I will, draw you back to me. My power over you will be in no way diminished. Beware, therefore, how you venture to take a wife among the people below. Should you ever do so, you will feel what a grievous thing it is to arouse my anger. As she uttered these words, her eyes sparkled, and she drew herself up with a majestic air. In the same moment, Onawotoquoto awoke. He found himself on the ground near his father's lodge, on the very spot where he had thrown himself down to sleep. Instead of the brighter beings of a higher world, he found around him his parents and their friends. His mother told him that he had been absent a year. For some time, Onawotoquoto remained gloomy and silent, but by degrees he recovered his spirits and he began to doubt the reality of all that he had seen and heard above. At last, he even ventured to marry a beautiful girl of his own tribe, but within 4 days she died. Still, he was forgetful of his first wife's command, and he married again. Then one night he left his lodge, to which he never returned. His wife, it is believed, recalled him to the sky, where he still dwells, walking the vast plains. The end of the legend of Oniwaquato.
There you go. Good one.
I have
Good.
told that story, but from a different tribe, and it was, the same thing. It was almost like a giant, but his brother was the sun, and she, the sister, was the moon.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
If you didn't figure that out during the story, why was her brother gone all day?
Ah, because he
He
was the
was,
moon.
and they went to a spot where he sat and ate every day. It was high noon.
Yeah.
And so they went home by a different path. Well,
Yeah.
the sun goes down in the west, right? So, and then his wife was gone for sometimes, quite a while in the evening, and sometimes she was only gone for an hour or so. So that's how much time the moon is up some nights. So the he was taken up by Sister Moon.
Yep.
So how about that for the rest of the story on that one?
It's
So
pretty good.
and the brother said, "Remember, sister, you were told by the elders, you weren't supposed to be taking them children and bringing them up here." And but
Mhm.
she was so adamant that he was like, "Okay," and he gave in. So, but if you don't know that part of the story, you might just be confused as to, well, that's just a, well, it is a fairy tale, but um the sister moon saw Manitou Wuto. I'm not looking at it, and I pronounced it wrong already. Anyway, but you know, he was laying down there on the ground, and she went down and was like, "Ooh, that's a good-looking man. I'm gonna get him to come up here with me." And that's about what it was. They just didn't say that. Oh. So what are we doing now?
What are we doing now? Well, we got cards. Cards. Yeah.
All right. Well, I did not cheat tonight. I did not start early. I
Uh-oh.
wanted to, but
you
I
can
did.
start early, but you just don't. You got to keep it to yourself, man. You got to keep them to yourself because everybody's got to get their brain wrapped around what it should be or could be. So we got Susie Q says coyote, crow, owl, hummingbird, raccoon, squirrel, rabbit. And Lucky's got dolphin, I don't know what, lynch, frog, fox, and hawk. I'm going to choose some bugs this week. I think butterfly. I'm going with butterfly, buffalo, beaver, and mountain lion. That's my choices. Come on, elderberry. I'm sure you got a good choice out there. And see who else is there. Chloe picked something too already. Oh, Scotty Boy's got wolf, coyote, elk, whatever that is. More salamander. I don't know if there's a salamander, but there is lizard. There's a wolf, coyote, and elk. So you're good. There you go, Scotty Boy. You got something going. I knew a guy in the 80s who built traps with pookie sticks around his property. He was like crazy. I'm glad, like me, I invited him to the property. It was nice enough to warn me about his traps. Yeah, people still trap. Oh, we got elderberry. He says fox, and possum, hawk, hummingbird, and snake. There you go. Fox. There you go. So, good. Okay, I got these up. Who gets what right? I got firefly, buffalo, beaver, and mountain lion. That's my guesses. And we don't know. So get your guesses in today. Guess at the animals pulled. Come on, Regine, join in. Elderberry says. We got plenty of them. Elderberry says fox, opossum, hawk, hummingbird, and snake. Witchy Moon has got badger, spider, deer, owl, whale, hummingbird. Oh yeah, there could be people have been picking dolphins, so maybe it might be a water thing. We had otter the other day, so I'm going to pick beaver. Yeah, we haven't had badger in a long time.
No, we haven't.
Hummingbird, bird, and ant. We haven't had ant in a long time either. Witchy Moon,
yes,
you might.
We did. Well, no, never mind.
We had dragonfly. It's been coming up a lot. There's Lucky with the list. Here is the list, he says. Pick from that. Pick from the list, people. There's a big list. Scotty Boy, you can't get it wrong if you use the list.
There are 44 cards.
Yeah. Regine, you want to pick? Just get right in there. Pick one of those animals. Lucky's made it easy enough. Eagle, hawk, deer, elk, bear, snake, skunk, otter, butterfly, turtle. Oh, yeah, we had turtle the other week. Moose. We haven't had moose in a while. Porcupine, coyote, dog, wolf, raven, mountain lion, lynx, and buffalo and mouse. Yep, there is a mouse. Or you got owl, beaver, possum, crow, fox, squirrel, dragonfly, armadillo. Yeah, that's true. Badger, rabbit, turkey, ant, weasel, grouse, Well, we had grouse a while back. Horse, we haven't had horse in a while. Lizard, antelope. We've had antelope another day. Frog, we had frog the other day. Swan, we had that. Dolphin, whale, bat. We had bat the other day. Spider, we had that. Hummingbird. Hummingbird, spider, bat, and frog come up quite often, people. I don't know why that is. Chloe says, I had turkey, deer, skunk, eagle, turtle, and bear. Good job, Chloe. Sorry, I didn't see it up there. I'm trying to go through this stuff. I'm driving the bus. I got to be particular.
All right. So this is an interesting poll.
We changed a squirrel, owl, squirrel, deer, dolphin, antelope, and hummingbird. There you go. Good combination there.
All right.
Okay.
Well, here are the cards, my friends, my peeps. And as I was pulling the card, Robert,
who's in tune with the universe?
You was reading somebody's thing and you said fox, and I flipped the card up there and I went, no way. So fox is the second card.
Oh,
that's the first card. Interesting. So here are the cards. Let me yeah, you said mountain lion, and I pulled the mountain lion card. So, and then at some point I heard eagle, and I have the eagle card up. So let me sort these. I just kind of tossed them on the computer here. So let me get them. It's way interesting. So we have rabbit upside down as the first card. Fox right side up is the second card. Mountain lion right side up is the third card. Antelope, the fourth card, is upside down. You'll be running on the ceiling. The fifth card is buffalo, right side up.
Oh, I got buffalo.
The sixth card, and I'm not quite sure. I'm going to have to wait till buffalo to find out. But eagle was supposed to be the sixth card, but swan was next to it and wanted to come along for the ride. So the fact that swan goes into the dream time and comes out as the swan, it's curious as to what buffalo is going to bring and what eagle's message may be. So swan's in the mix, but eagle was the primary. Now, and also after antelope and before buffalo, the butterfly card came out sideways. So I won't know until I get there. This is just really weird, the whole thing, but I understand what it means. You know, you wait till you get there, and sometimes butterfly don't mean nothing. But butterfly usually means, you know, that you've got 4 different stages. You know, you think about it, and then you work on it, and then you develop it, and then you come out of the cocoon as a butterfly. So, and it depends on what stage you're at. So the last card is lynx, and I done fooled with the card, and I think it's upside down, but it may not be. I turned the card. So let me get the book. I hope y'all have your, you know, your wishes in.
Well,
now,
let's see who got what right. Yeah, we got Lucky. He's got Fox right, and Susie Q's got nothing. Nothing. Chloe, she's got eagle. Yes, eagle, skunk, bear, deer. She's got eagle right. So a couple people got something right. We got
now. Let me put this to y'all. I know y'all been choosing these critters, and that's great. It really. But do you also, when you're picking the critters, do you know what the critter means when you choose it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just stop and think about that. Okay. So now rabbit is fear.
We
And
got
Rabbit's upside down. And the long story is that um, Rabbit had a friend who was a witch. And one day they were walking, and Rabbit was hungry, and
oh,
Witch did him a favor and turned a stone into a turnip. And next thing you know, Rabbit's thirsty, and his witchy buddy just clipped something and got him something to drink. And so when they got back to the house, they split up, said goodnight. Well, then about 2 months later, the witchy guy is like, hey, what happened to Rabbit? And he bumps into Rabbit by accident. And he says, well, how haven't you come see me? And Rabbit says, because I'm scared of you. And from that point on, he put a curse on Rabbit and all of his kin that they would live in fear. And so to this day, Rabbit's always skittish and fearful. So, um, but the upside down. So the paralyzing feeling which Rabbit can experience when being stalked or deer in the headlight is Rabbit in the contrary position. If you've tried to resolve a situation in your life and you're unable to, you may be feeling frozen in motion. So now we're starting out this spread by being frozen in motion. There's always a way out of any situation because the universal force does move on. It is the way in which you handle problems that allow you to succeed. So Rabbit's right here warning us that to not be afraid, to not be fearful, and to right away look at there is a way out of any situation. Now the next card is Fox, which is a wily dude or dudette as it may be. Ooh, I went right to the page. Fox is camouflage. So Rabbit's saying, don't be fearful. There's a way out of every situation. And Fox is saying, whoop, hey, maybe you should be camouflaged. Well, that's interesting. Camouflage for the rabbit. So Fox's ability to be unseen allows it to be the protector of the family unit. If danger arises, Fox is Johnny on the spot. Great Spirit in the Choctaw language honors Fox with the duty of keeping the family together and safe. If Fox has chosen to share its medicine, it is a sign that you are to become like the wind, which is unseen yet is able to weave into and through any location or situation. Okay? So we're going to be weaving and dodging into a situation. In other words, we're going to get ingrained or enmeshed in it. So, alrighty, the next card up is Mountain Lion. We're backing up here in the book. Oh, there's Buffalo too. There it is. So, Mountain Lion is leadership. Okay. So, Fox is being camouflaged and is looking to be helpful for the family unit. Upside down rabbit is like, get out of fear and let's get going here. Mountain lion is leadership. So it must mean, well, we're going to lead our family out of a situation. How about that one? So mountain lion medicine involves lessons on the use of power in leadership. In other words, it's not just that you are a powerful leader, it's that you can pick other people who are powerful and learn how to lead them. So it's not all about you being the power, but it is about the leadership, which is powerful. If Mountain Lion has come to you in dreams, it is a time to stand on your convictions and lead yourself where your heart takes you. If you pulled the card, you may be asked to review the purpose behind your own personal beliefs. So if you're working really hard to do something, you might have to stop and go, wait, why am I really doing this? Am I doing it for other people? Which fox is in the card before that says, fox is working for the family. So is mountain lion working for the family? So, in assuming the place of power that mountain lion affords, you must constantly be aware of keeping the peace. So, fox is keeping the family together, and mountain lion is going to keep the peace. And this is where butterfly comes in, okay? And butterfly is, you might got to make the decision as to, and that this makes sense. I was a little worried that that butterfly card might not fit in here, but it does. And the butterfly is transformation. So in leadership, you got to transform yourself into being a, a pig nose. Ah, you will do this or I will beat you. You can't do it that way. So butterfly is about transformation. So you got to be think of yourself as whether or not in your the egg stage, or whether you're in the cocoon stage, the larva stage, or the birth stage to become a butterfly. So during this, what's going on here, the leadership, um, whoever's involved in this, and each one of you is going to have your own answer to this. So, but what stage are you in? So, what stage are you in your life? And because that's the transformative part of life and in and of itself. So, but I can't make the decision, you have to. And you can change your position. If you're in the egg stage, no problem. So if you want to get to the birth stage, then you got to work on it, just like butterfly does. Got to build a cocoon and get in there and then pop out a beautiful butterfly. So so what stage are you in, or are you looking to be in? Now, antelope is number 37. So you got leadership to pay attention, with mountain lion. Fox is your camouflage that's working for the family and friends and so forth. So where's 37? Right behind 38. So antelope is action. So there you go. So you got, you know, four stages with the with the butterfly, and antelope is saying, take action, except it is upside down. But, action nonetheless. So maybe the antelope saying you haven't taken the action. Let me look. There you go. Contrary antelope is a signal that you are not listening and not acting on the will of the Great Spirit. You may be taking more than your share. Antelope medicine, in the contrary, makes you crazy and quarrelsome. If you're in that kind of mood, stop it. You will certainly be indecisive and will not know in which direction to turn. So there's butterfly trying to tell you got four stages there. Which one you going to take? And here's antelope upside down going, where are you going to go? So stop lying, even if you think it will get you off the hook of some situation. Contrary antelope will trip you at every turn. Contrary antelope may also be telling you that a decision to start is now necessary. Well, that's what butterfly is telling you. Where are you at? Which of those four? And the antelope's going, come on, start, by goodness, will you? So now the next one is, oh, oh man, you still there? Oh, I hit the computer. Okay, I'm back. So the next one is buffalo, which at the moment I can't remember. Prayer and abundance, and buffalo's right side up. So you're coming out of this indecision. Make up your mind, take some action, And what the buffalo is next, which is saying you need to say some prayers and be thankful for the abundance that you already have. All animals are sacred, but in many traditions, the white buffalo is the most sacred. Buffalo was the major source of sustenance for the Plains Indians, where they made everything. Because of its desire to give the gift of its body provided, and because of its willingness to be used on the earth for the highest good, before entering the hunting grounds of the Great Spirit. Buffalo did not readily stampede at those times. To use buffalo medicine is to smoke the pipe in a sacred manner and to give praise for the richness of life to be shared with all races, all creatures, all nations, and all life. If you've drawn the buffalo card, you may be asked to use your energy in prayer. So you're trying to figure out what's going on in life or which way to go. Ding, prayer. So it's telling you right there. You want an answer? Prayer. Now the next card up is Swan. And Swan is about grace. So if you have your prayer and the Creator is graceful to you and hands you grace through prayer, that's the outcome of the prayer from Buffalo. Does that make sense to y'all? Because that's why Swan is there. But Swan was an ugly duckling. And when Dragonfly came along, she asked Dragonfly, hey, you know, I think I've flown into the dream time. And Dragonfly was like, well, do you want to be here? And she was like, well, is it all right? And Dragonfly said, well, in order to be accepted in the dream time, you have to accept whatever the Creator has in store for you. And little ugly duckling said, okay, I'll do it. Yep, I agree. And so she went into the dream time, and when she came out, she was a lovely swan. So what is the purpose of that card? Because if you're in the dream time and you accept what the Creator gives you, you will be that's the grace from above, if you will. The next card up is Eagle. All of these cards make sense. I hope they do to you. And Swan is like at the end of the book, and Eagle is number one in the book. And I should know what Eagle means, but I don't at the moment. My head's confused with other cards. Because Hawk is the messenger, but Eagle is the spirit. Well, duh, you know. So, Swan is saying, hey, if Buffalo says use your prayer, and if you do what the Creator asks of you, which is just follow what you should do, then you will be given grace to from the Creator to you. And the eagle is the spirit card. And it is the medicine and the power of the Great Spirit. So you're going to be graced with the power of the Great Spirit, the spirit of the Great Spirit. You know what I mean? So there's not much else. If you pull this symbol, eagle is reminding you to take heart and gather your courage. For the universe is presenting you with an opportunity to soar above the mundane levels of your life. Swan's going to give you the grace. Eagle, the spirit. Take heart and gather your courage. And the links card, which is the last one, this is an interesting spread, y'all. I like it. I hope y'all do get something out of this. I hope. Yeah, the buffalo is prayer and abundance. And then the swan card's next, and you accept what creator gives you, and you end up with grace. And eagle is the spirit of it. And then here's the links card, which is upside down, is about secrets. It is said that if you want to find out a secret, ask the lynx medicine. Lynx is the keeper of secrets of lost magical systems and the occult knowledge. Lynx has the ability to move through time and space and to go into the great silence, the dream time, for unraveling any mystery. So that fits right in there with where Swan went. Now, in the contrary, if Lynx has appeared in the reverse position, it is time to shut your big mouth. I swear that's what it says. Something you are jabbering about has let the cat out of the bag. Be careful of what you blab about. You might look at choosing to have your brain in gear before your babble starts again. Become Lynx and wear the Mona Lisa smile. Only you will know what you're smiling about, but in the meantime, keep your mouth shut. So apparently, whatever you learn in the spirit might not be able to be shared with everybody. So that would, to me, would say, hang around with some people. You can still hang out with people, and you can smile that nice Mona Lisa smile, but it don't mean you got to blabber. And if you do, choose your words wisely. So those are the canards for tonight. The cards, the canards. Let me go down them one time. Rabbit is don't be in fear, get over it. Fox, working for the family and friends. Mountain lion is the leadership card, so make sure that you look around, if nobody's doing, then be a leader and stand up. Butterfly is you got 4 choices. Where are you in your project or life? Decide on one. And the antelope upside down is like take action on it. When you choose it, and maybe it's to take action to choose. So, and then the buffalo card is about the giveaway and about the honor of it. And swan is all about being in the dream time and accepting what God has given for you, and be grateful. And with that, you will end up with grace. Eagle card is the spirit card. Keep your spirit up, share that spirit with others. And the lynx card upside down is while you're doing that, keep your blabbering mouth shut.
Yeah, those cards really hit me tonight. I think I'm checking off a few of those boxes.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah, really.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, gotta make
Care to share?
Well, it kind of all swirls together with the take charge of your life and make a plan kind of thing. And so
yeah, because some things get in our way and we get stuck in a rut. Or whatever it is, and sometimes it is, I need to do that. Yeah, well, no, I mean, I really need to do that. Yeah, sure. No, I really need to do that.
Yep. Yep, that's exactly it. That is exactly it. Yeah, a lot of in the gossip thing. Yeah, I know how that's going too. Maybe it's not me, but it's other people that affect me. So I can understand that too. So a little bit of that. I got to learn from the links.
Well, and what that And what that learns you, boys and girls, is that is to not be that way. You know, you may not be a jabbering, but it's a warning to not be a jabbering. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, but I sure would like to give my 10 cents, but we better be quiet.
Yeah.
I have learned that one the hard way, my friends. I'm going to tell you. Old Dave could not keep his mouth shut for shit. I was always getting in trouble. So,
Anyway,
but there you
yeah.
go. So,
Well,
what's the response? Anybody like falling over and puking over them cards?
no. But I can tell you that it worked for me. Maybe that one's for me this week. I was listening. I was like, yeah, some of that stuff where you put it together. Yeah, it sounds like that's what's going on. So there you go. Anyway, yeah. Everybody, I hope everybody liked that. Lucky was given little pointers about the different cards in there too, just like you said. So all good. It says it's best. Regine says, "Thank you for being here, Regine. It's best keeps quiet if somebody doesn't have anything nice to say about you. That is so true." Nina says, "I stay out of the group chat." Yeah, the whole reading hit me, says Susie Q. The whole reading. There you go. Perfect.
Well, thank you, Susie. And it sort of made, I mean, after I laid them out, because when I first saw the rabbit upside down, I was like, oh, we're in trouble here. Mm-hmm. But it actually was like, no, quit being fearful and move on, you know? Yeah. So, okie dokie, I'll take that.
Yep. Anyway.
And as we all know, there's a lot of freaky stuff going on these days. And there's a lot of people are finding ways to be scared of something. And, you know, it doesn't affect their life in any way. It's not, you know, down at the corner store. It's, you know, nothing in the neighborhoods happen, but there's stuff in the world that they're just worried about, and it's going to come down on them, and the anxiety, and they can't stop it, and they got to yak about it, which might be one of them cards, is to, you know, just not jabber about it. But that there's so much fear that's being instilled by so many angles of so many things in the world. AI is going to eat us. That's the latest one, that it's actually going to create something that's going to eat us. You know, AI is going to create a monster virus, and that virus is going to eat us. Please.
Always, you
know, but there are folks who are laying awake at night looking at the ceiling going, the virus is going to get me. You know, the AI is going to get me. But with that said, you know, if you're one of them people, take a chill pill.
Yeah.
But with the rest of the world, there's so many other people who are in that boat. Did you hear about this thing? And what about this? And calm down. But what about this? And what about it? Calm down. Did you see Trump in China with Xi Jinping? What, they were shaking hands and having dinner. Oh my God, the world is coming to an end. Would you shut up?
That's right.
People will go nuts over anything. The two guys are not throwing knives at each other. Be pleased. You know, I was thinking, oh, the Chinese are going to shoot down a plane as it comes in, you know, like, holy crap. Or maybe they're going to shoot his plane as they go out. Oh, no. But, you know, the fact that they didn't do that is like, yo, relax. The planet's going to be okay for a while, you know? Just calm down.
That's right. That's right. Oh, what a good night. Good reading. Hey, I just want to say, remember, everybody, go out there and get yourself one of these cool mugs. with our logo thing on there. Native American Myths and Legends with Robert and David, best storyteller on YouTube. You can also get one of these nice shirts like that. Support us here on the Milky Way. Go to Streamlabs. All the links are in the bottom to Nina's Streamlabs over there, Beyond Truth. And you can also get one of these cool stickers. We got the new cool stickers out, and this one's kind of funny. If you haven't seen this one, and this is the new logo over there on Beyond Truth. You can catch us on Rumble, YouTube, Spreaker, and a bunch of other things. Nina's on, so catch us over there and get yourself one of these cool stickers. I'm going to put my sticker on my computer. That's what I'm going to do. Nice swag. That's right. And then of course they got those hats. You got the cool hats, and I'm going to be wearing my hat pretty often. It says Beyond Truth, and you can get one of these hats. I don't know. I like these hats. These are really pretty nice. So go get your stuff. That's a good summer hat. It's light. This one here gets a little bit hot. Speaking of that, I was wearing my hat, and I went to a small animal sale on Saturday, which was really cool. I met a lot of people, and then I got talking with a guy, and he says, you look kind of familiar. And I says, I do? And he says, and then it says something about a YouTube channel, and he says, yeah, that's where I see you. So shout out to Terry out there, who I seen at the small animal sale. He bought the horse I wanted to buy, but hey, that's all right. At least now I don't have to feed
it. Or chase it down,
Yeah. Yeah. So either way, it's all good.
You met somebody, that recognized you. That's cool.
Yeah, I know. That was pretty cool. So anyway, Regine says, good reading and good night. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, they were small. I bought some rabbits. I bought a couple of 3 goats, mama and 2 babies. And then you need to wear your merch, show it off. Yes, I do. I wear my merch. I wore my Milky Way Soul Tribe shirt to the small animal sale. When the guy says, yeah, I recognize you from somewhere. I pulled it up. I says, yeah, right here. Yeah. And he goes, yeah, that's it. I thought that was pretty funny because I was wearing my Milky Way shirt with my face on it. It was so funny. But yeah, I bought a couple of rabbits and some chickens and some ducks and yeah, anyway, it was, I know, you're killing me with smalls. Yeah, but they were small. You should see how small those chicks were. They were little bitty things. And the rabbits were probably 6 months old. And then, yeah, so, and everything fit in my Suburban. So I didn't even have to come back and get the truck. I bought a big giant dog crate. And while I was there for like $17, and I threw the goats in there, and all the other animals had their own cages. I even bought some pigeons, and they weren't small pigeons though. How about that? They were these giant pigeons. Does Robert still have hound? Yes, I got dogs. One is right down here. There he is. He's sleeping. He's the howler. You can see that down there. He's the anyway, you see him sleeping down there? Anyway, there you go. I don't want to mess up the camera too much. But yeah, that's what you get. The other one's in the bedroom. She's sleeping. Was the horse a mini horse? No, it was a colt. It was small. It was a 2-year-old buckskin. And I sure wanted that thing. Could have brought it home, cleaned it up, and broke it. But you know what the bad part is I still have a paint colt yet sitting out in the pasture. It's now 3 years old, and it ain't broke either. So I said, no, don't raise the hand. It was crazy. It was a lot of fun, though. I had a lot of fun, met a lot of people, talked a lot, different guys, and it was just a good time. It was a good time. So
yeah, I always said it's sort of like a flea market of animals.
Yeah, yes, that's what it was. There was oh my gosh, there was peacocks and turkeys and pheasants and chickens from Indonesia, and there was rabbits, goats and sheep and donkeys and mules and Scottish Highlanders all over the place. And there was, oh, you name it, they pretty much had it. It was a lot of fun though. I had a good time, and it was shoot by those critters and in a chief out. What? I don't get it. You should buy those critters in chief outfit. Oh yeah, in chief outfit. Paint cold. Those are fun to ride, and when they aren't saddled and bro, they're an adventure. Yeah, I know. I got to break a horse yet this year. It's on my list. Chickens and rabbits with good price, good giant dog crate. Yeah. Yes.
So do you remember the price for the goats?
Yes, I sure do.
How
And
much?
I won't forget that anytime soon. I thought I got a real good deal because they were pretty cheap at the point. I mean, they were going pretty expensive, and I got them for $70 a piece. Now, here's why I won't forget is because I went to the checkout lady, and I was going to check out, and she says, well, that's, your bill is $700 and some odd dollars. And I'm like, what did I buy? She says, well, you bought 3 goats at $210 a piece. And I stopped dead in my tracks and I said, what? He says, I bought the cheapest goats in the house, not the most expensive. And she says, well, it's 3 times the money. Didn't you know that? I says, yeah, they were $70 a piece times 3. That's $210. Well, doesn't say that here. $210. You owe $630 something. What? And I had to go talk to this guy and talk to that guy, and finally I got to the auctioneer guy, and he got to come over, and he says, yes, that was $210 for all 3. I was like, oh, thank goodness. Because I sure wouldn't want to pay $210 a piece for a baby goat.
Really?
Yeah, it was a mama and 2 babies. Yeah, there's mama and 2 babies. So it's a little milking goat. How about that?
Cool beans.
Yes. So you got a show. Speaking of cool beans, you got a show tonight?
Maybe I had to get that coffee because I was falling asleep.
Oh my goodness gracious.
If I don't fall asleep, I feel like a nap big time.
Regine says to swap me like an outdoor flea market. Yes, it's like wasn't a flea market, it was an auction. So each animal gets auctioned off with the auctioneer going,
it was a true auction.
Yes, each animal, which takes a long time. They started like 10 o'clock in the morning and they went all the way to about 9 o'clock at night. It was dark when I came home.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Susie Q says, I love goat milk. Well, I love goat milk too. Those types of auctions don't like dogs, are afraid we are what? They had dogs for sale at the auction. Like dogs, afraid like dogs and better than them. Correct. Yeah, they had dogs and cats they auctioned off. I didn't bring my dog because I didn't want her to stand out in the sun all day. So
well, is it a monthly thing or
no? Spring and fall sale.
Yeah. So it's sort of like, if you will, it was sort of like I'm trying to look for the word back in when all the tribes would get together and the trappers would get together and they'd have a big party and trade.
That's right. There was a lot of people there too.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. All righty then. Well, I want to say thank you all for coming tonight, and you're always in my prayers. And remember, say a prayer for Elderberry, even though he might, shy away and go, "No, man, you ain't got to do that." But say a prayer for Elderberry anyway. 2 stents in his heart, and he is feeling better. And so, but say another prayer for him anyway that he gets even better. So, it's hard to come back from a heart attack. Dave ought to know.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I continue to pray that each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And the card said so. tonight, you know, remember the swan went into the dream time and came out full of grace. So, and Buffalo was there with prayer and abundance. So there you go. The card spoke. So pay attention.
Absolutely. And with all that, I hope you all take that to heart. Remember, give elderberry some love. And with that, everybody, remember, go out and do your best and be the frequency you want to receive, everybody. Love you all. Peace, everybody.
Cheers.